We are focused on food delivery apps, turning unemployed youth into cheap labor so the rich can get their meals.
Somewhere the desire to innovate, the desire to use technology, is that taking a
It was an electric vehicle manufacturer that became a unicorn in 24, right? You also have Krutim, which was an AI startup, first AI to become a unicorn, started by Bhavesh Agarwal. You also have Perfios, which is a fintech SaaS company specializing in real-time. Yeah.
Hello and a very warm welcome to this special conversation. Well, guess what, folks? We're at the beginning of a new financial year. There is a startup Mahakumbh which is going on in the national capital. And bang in the middle of that startup Mahakumbh, Union Minister Piyush Goyal has come up with his own very, very stern advisory for all those who are involved in the business of startups.
What are India's startups doing today? We are focused on food delivery apps, turning unemployed youth into cheap labor so the rich can get their meals without moving out of their house. And against that, what does a Chinese startup do? Work on developing electric mobility, battery technologies, and with that, they're today dominating the electric mobility ecosystem.
According to the minister, there is no innovation which is going on in the startup business. Well, with me, one of the foremost entrepreneurs, watchers of policies for the government, you name the space, and Rajiv is a great pleasure for us, Rajiv, to have you in the Squirrels today.
Hi.
So, Rajiv, let me straight away begin first by asking you to respond. You've been a part of this startup Mahakumbh, which is going on right now in the national capital. What do you make out? What is the peeve, if I may say so, that the minister seems to have with those who are involved in this ecosystem?
So I think minister obviously has a view on startups in the country. I personally don't want to comment on what the minister thinks, but I think if you really ask me, is there a lack of innovation in Indian startups? I guess India has been home to one of the world's largest and most vibrant startup ecosystems with over 100 unicorns across various sectors. Now, if you look at Indian system, India may innovation is happening in deep tech, fintech, agri-tech, and health tech. But I guess the nature of innovations may differ from Silicon Valley style disruption. I guess that's what probably he was coming to. And startups are certainly solving India's specific problems. India is home to 1.5 billion people, and financial inclusion, rural healthcare, digital identity, I think are extremely unique and impactful as far as India is concerned.
Hmm.
Now, in my view,
Hmm.
certainly more focus is needed, on R&D driven innovation rather than only business model scaling. I mean, that's quite true.
What can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's where the real fulcrum of this entire argument is that are we spending enough in the R&D section in our R&D departments of our startups? Is there too much focus on simple valuations? Let's just keep looking at the account books, and because we have to keep at the account books, because we have to look at the entire valuation ecosystem, somewhere the desire to innovate, the desire to use technology, is that taking a backseat according to you, Rajiv?
I wouldn't say backseat. I think government initiatives like Startup India and state-led incubators have provided early stage support to most startups. But I think what is important is more mentorship from experienced entrepreneurs, and access to risk capital will certainly help to accelerate growth. The other point I borrow from US, where a strong university startup collaboration ecosystem like in the US, can certainly fuel deep tech innovations. The other area which probably we could work, better is regulatory clarity and simplification of compliance processes. In my opinion, can further support startups in a very big way. Now, if you look at global references, Bhupender, we can talk about the strong university startup collaboration like in the US. Like in Israel, you have focus on defense, cybersecurity, and deep tech, driven by government-backed R&D. In China, you have scale-driven innovations. You have state-backed support for AIs and semiconductors. A country like Singapore is more business-friendly policies, incentives to attract global startups. I guess these are areas certainly we can certainly look at some best practices over the world. But India has done well. There is no doubt over the many years India has done well. But if you look at future, if you look at new age technologies, I guess these are important.
I think what the minister was trying to allude to, and sometimes many policy watchers have also sort of spoken about this, that it's almost like, let's say, in the year 2000, between 1999 to 2004, 2005, India was becoming the global center for body shopping when call centers were coming up. And there was this question that was raised that, are we really skilling our youth? So today, let's say an Ola or an Uber or a Zomato, Zepto, there may be great focus on providing the right delivery, faster deliveries, convenient deliveries to people. But what is the class of people to whom these deliveries are being provided is one question. And which is the class of people which is providing these deliveries? Is the problem within the startup ecosystem of skilling of individuals? Would you say that that's something which those who are providing the employment opportunities or those who are involved in this space, is that something worth looking at seriously?
So, Bhupender, I would separate both these two, type of startups. You also have a Policy Bazaar and Paisa Bazaar, which has been a tech-based digital platform for insurance. We have a tech-based platform for lending as well. You have many such examples like, Policy Bazaar. And on the other side, you also have, companies like Zomato, Zepto, and others who provide the necessary service delivery, to your homes. Now, people they employ come from a category who are people who may not get employed otherwise. It could be people who are, not even school pass out, school dropouts. It could be people who don't get jobs, who are not technically qualified. But I guess there was a big need for creating employment there. So I wouldn't say that they have not done a great job. I think these companies also have certainly done a great job of creating the employment which the country requires. But if I look at futuristic, I think if today we talk about new age technologies, one of the biggest challenges we as a country face is the availability of skilled manpower in this space, right? I mean, we all talk about AI, but how many AI professionals are available today? And if I look at the future, I think the future lies in focusing on a couple of areas, in my opinion. One is obviously Bharat focused innovation, where you solve tier 2, tier 3 problems where the India needs in fintech are to be solved. Financial literacy is at extremely low level. I mean, if I look at the biggest problem which India needs to solve if it has to move towards Viksit Bharat by 2047, is my investment in financial literacy. So what do I do to improve financial literacy in this country? Second, I think deep tech startups like AI, semiconductors, and quantum computing are certainly emerging areas. But I guess we need to build good skilled workforce. We need to partner with universities to create skilled manpower there. We have to create interest. I think unless we do that, and unless there is active support from government and entrepreneurs to this segment, we will miss out on deep tech startups for sure. I mean, there are emerging deep tech startups who have become unicorns in the last, I would say, couple of years, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Second, I think SaaS for the world. India's IT talent currently is well placed to build, global SaaS business. And of course, the most talked subject is the green tech and sustainability. And climate focused startups will see growth, in investors' interest. And if you look at recent examples in India, you must have heard about Ather Energy Bangalore. It was an electric vehicle manufacturer that became a unicorn in 24, right? You also have Kruthim, which was an AI startup, first AI to become a unicorn, started by Bhavesh Agarwal. You also have Perfios, which is a fintech SaaS company specializing in real-time credit. So I think there are enough examples to talk about, and there are some upcoming startups as well. So to say that we don't have startups who are innovating may not be, fully right. But yes, there is enough scope. What Minister was trying to say is, with India being a startup hub and so much being spoken about startups, there is good room for more innovations to come, because we need to ensure that we are ready for the future. So if you look at upcoming and promising startups, Bhupender, we have heard about Blue Energy Motors, which is specializing in liquefied natural gas. We are talking about Inspacity and Orbital Lasers, Japan. They have collaborated to provide laser equipped satellites for space debris removal. We speak about GV. It's an AI healthcare from utilizing artificial intelligence for potential diagnosis. You look at PB FinTech. We have started PB Health recently, right? Now, PB Health is a departure from Policy Bazaar and Paisa Bazaar. What are we trying to do? We are saying that this country with 150 crores requires good quality healthcare in the country. So we are creating a model using technology to build 100-bedded hospitals across tier 2, tier 3 cities, and some in tier 1 as well, where the idea is, can we build good quality, affordable healthcare for people who believe healthcare access in this country requires a lot of investment from the government and private sector. Now, when this happens, you will see more participation in people coming forward to buy health insurance plans,
Right.
in more participation in terms of insurance penetration. Now, this country, fortunately, today prides itself in its young population. But fact of the matter is, 2047, our Prime Minister has given us target of Viksit Bharat. By 47, if you remember, we had a small conversation on this. 30% of India's population or 35% of India's population is going to be senior citizens. So
Right.
we're talking about today's 40-year-olds moving into a senior citizen category. Now imagine if these guys don't have a health insurance, don't have an income plan. So obviously the new age technologies will have to work towards this to ensure that the today's 40-year-olds are educated, literate, skilled, so that they are ready, to take on much
But
better.
I think one of the points which Mr. Goyal was trying to allude to, the Union Minister, was that he started giving examples, of what is being, let's say, done in the space of semiconductors or microchips, how other countries are doing it. Let me put it this way to you, Rajiv, and who better than you to answer this question, since you represent one of the biggest sort of tech platforms which is employing hundreds of thousands of people, Policy Bazaar. I want to understand whether the Indian startup ecosystem is really finding its feet in the global market space. Is that where the problem or the fear is, that whatever is being made very specifically, and I was saying, only and only for the balance sheets in India, for the domestic investors?
I think, Bhupinder, semiconductors and AIs will certainly help in the startup space. There is no doubt about it. I think AI is already transforming fintech, healthcare, and logistics. Now, startups leveraging AI for efficiency gains and customer experience will certainly thrive. In my opinion, semiconductors will become extremely critical for India's ambition to be a global electronics manufacturing hub. Now, I was visiting Dubai the other day, and I had the opportunity to visit DP Mart, where with partnership with Ministry of Commerce, we are talking about setting up Bharat Mart, in UAE, right? Now, Bharat Mart will open up doors for many young SMEs, MSMEs, and young startups who want to create products to create global market, right? You've heard about China Mart. You've heard about China Mart everywhere.
Right.
India needs a Bharat Mart, a large Bharat Mart, and who better than UAE can partner us, because they are creating the world's largest port, which will connect us to probably the entire universe. So I think in terms of opportunity, in terms of government, I think clearly we're all working towards that. And India is certainly investing in semiconductor fabs and AI computing power. In my view, the next wave of deep tech startups will emerge in this space. No doubt about it.
Okay. So, final question then to you. Would you say that actually this was not a reprimand, but rather a rap on the knuckles for the Indian startup ecosystem from the minister, who's maybe wanting to raise the bar higher? Is that the way to look at it?
I think more than the rap, he was probably encouraging. I don't know who was the audience present there, but I guess with young minds coming into this business, when we have some of the brightest minds,
You were just being the elder statesman, I think, in the room.
I was not there for this session, by the way, but that's okay. What I'm trying to tell you is that the message is loud and clear. The message is young, bright minds of this country will have to look at deep tech opportunities. I think currently the government is clearly spending on space sector funding. In October 24, Bhupender, if you recall, Indian government approved 119 million fund to support 40 space startups, right? Now, this is certainly with an aim to enhance employment, technology, and R&D in the space sector. You've also seen a recent Indo-US defense collaboration where Indian startups, I think 7 or 8 in number, including Calidio and Ethereal, were selected for an Indian-US space and defense collaboration program. So currently, see, the government is creating the necessary platform. The government is wanting young startups to come in this space so that India in its growth, India in its mission to become the largest startup economy in the country, probably after the US or China, we'll have to really look at these future areas to be the areas to invest money. These these examples certainly illustrate dynamic and diverse nature of India's startup ecosystem.
Okay. So dynamism and dynamism is the word that you would use with Indian startup ecosystem, and not lack of innovation, as many thought it would end up being. But thanks a lot, Rajiv. Great pleasure for us to be speaking to you today. Look forward to many more such enriching conversations with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhupendra.